All right, we are live. So, welcome everybody. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, anything like that throughout the presentation, just drop it in the chat. I'll get to them as soon as the presentation's done. Let's get going with this. Oh boy. Share screen. There we go. So give me 1 second. Never used this setup before. All right. Cool. Let me know, guys, if you're able to see my presentation. There we go. Cool. All right. Seems like we got this working. So, real quick, this is the new blueprint for investing. Because, be frank with you, I've never heard anybody else teach it this way. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not like creating something magical that doesn't exist. It's just the way that I've put this together is all the same pieces, just in a different order because I was broke. And this is the way that it kind of just worked out for me. So I want to share it with you guys, and hopefully it brings the same amount of value it's brought to me and my students as it does to you guys. My name is Jon Barbera. I've been married for about 20 years now with Valeria. Those are my three little kids, little monsters, love them. Been in real estate for a little over 12 years. I was born in Argentina. I speak fluent Spanish. We moved to New York. I was raised there. I spent 20 years there, went to school there, dropped out of high school there, worked construction, then decided to move down to Texas to start my real estate investment business, which is where I spent the last 11 years in. So if you guys are trying to figure out where the hell my accent is from, good luck. It's it's a little bit all over the place as far as that goes. So I hope you get a little understanding. Like I I follow my dreams, right? So it's one of those things that's like now I live in Tennessee. So that picture with my family, it's from one of the mountains in Tennessee. That's where I'm at in Chattanooga. I love living the life that I design, and that's kind of been my whole journey. Um, welcome, Sophia. So, 90% of new real estate investors fail or lose money in their first few deals. Why is this? Because the high failure rate is attributed to a lack of experience, insufficient market knowledge, poor financial management, and unexpected costs. The two things I'm going to teach you in this training is going to cover exactly all of that. So you're not one of the statistics. This is the old way of investing in real estate. You do random marketing. You lock up literally anything. As long as they're saying yes, you lock it up. You hope buyers come. From where? Who knows? Apparently, you just lock up a deal and they show up magically. And maybe you make some money. And then you repeat and you do it again. I did this model because this is the model that pretty much everybody talks about. Do marketing. Oh, you want to get into real estate? Just do some marketing. Go do some marketing. Go generate some deals. Just do some marketing and you got this. Um, I did that. I've been in this, like I said, over 12 years. I sucked at this for a good 6, 7 of those years. So it's not like I've been here for this long and it's been magic and rainbows and everything's been working great. Like, no, I've struggled at this for a long time. Um, so the struggle is pretty much just not enough money. Marketing gets expensive. If you guys are doing, especially a lot of people start with direct mail, which I believe to be one of the biggest mistakes we all make. But you start with direct mail. I have a good friend of mine. He owns a direct mail company. And he tells me all the time, he's like, if you want to have a successful direct mail campaign, so at least 5 grand a month consistently for 3 to 4 months before we even know if it works or not. Like that's a lot of money. You understand? And most people just don't understand. They don't know. That's what we're taught. You don't know what a deal is. Now I get it. Oh, John, 70% minus repairs. No, no, that's not a deal. And you don't know what it is. You don't know why deals don't work. My background is in construction. I renovated thousands of houses as a contractor, as a GC. And when I started going into real estate investing, man, one of the things I realized is that none of my offers were getting accepted because I was looking at it as a GC and not as an investor. That's a completely different realm of looking at deals because not everything that I would do as a GC is necessarily something you would do as an investor. All right. So I hope that's making sense. Don't know what to ask for. So you finally got a deal locked in. You don't know what to ask for. So what do most people do? I want 5 grand for this. I want 10 grand for this. Why? I don't know. It's like a good number to pick. I promise you, those things are terrible. And for those of you who have been at this for a while, you know what I'm saying. And you don't want to be one of those sleazy wholesalers. I know that was the biggest issue I had is I used to say to myself that in order to be a successful wholesaler, you had to be sleazy. You had to screw over a seller and you had to take advantage of of a new investor, a new buyer, somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. And for somebody that kind of, has a conscience that needs to be more or less clear for them to sleep at night, it kind of messes with you as you build your business. So I stopped wholesaling. I focused on flips. I built a rental portfolio. I did a lot of flips. I acquired about 15 rentals. We built 5 houses, which was all my biggest mistakes. My biggest mistake is that I stopped wholesaling. I stopped doing it. I stopped doing that and I started chasing flips, rentals, everything. One of the things that nobody tells you about rentals, guys, is that is how you preserve wealth, not necessarily how you build wealth. Now, I'm not saying rentals are bad. What I'm saying is that the cash flow is not tremendous. The equity you can't always tap into. It doesn't always make sense to tap into. So you need to build a big rental portfolio before it starts making a difference. And I didn't know that. And I was at 15 rentals, and we were what we would call equity rich and cash poor. So we had a lot of equity in our rentals, no monthly income of any substance to run a business and to run the household and to take care of, my employees and everything like that. So I was scrambling, doing flips. We built some houses. Building houses is it's an experience, and it's an experience I wouldn't do again. Dealing with the city, permits, quality contractors, everything was a nightmare to do. But we were just chasing the money. You understand? Because we hated wholesaling. So 2020 forced us to change. And I'm grateful for 2020. We learned a lot during the pandemic. And it forced us to do something that we probably would have done anyway. But typically, how I've seen people make the shift is they slowly bleed out before they make the shift. The pandemic forced us to make the shift fast. So we didn't slowly bleed out. We still had something in there. We still had some money in the tank. So we weren't bleeding out. We just made the transition rather quickly. We were able to see it. Um, so the deals were drying up for us. Our flips, we were being outbid all the time because we used to buy from wholesalers, agents, our referral, all these things. And we would go to the wholesalers that we used to buy all the time. And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I got to take this other offer. It's higher than yours." I'm like, "Well, how much higher?" They're like 70 grand. Like, are you kidding me? How? How are they outbidding me by 70 grand? Like, it was insane. You understand? Like, my formulas, my numbers, they had never changed. So I was like, what's going on here? What am I missing? And we were being outbid left and right on all our projects. So we had to go back to marketing. We had to go back to the thing I hated with a passion. So we went back to pulling lists, doing what, like I said at the beginning, just marketing, right? Pulling lists, a bunch of cold calling, tremendous amount of SMS blasting, RVM blasting. We're probably a big reason why there's so much regulation now on text messaging and all these things, because we were at that time sending out probably in the neighborhood of 8,000 text messages a day. And we were hitting these people, the same people, every single day. I mean, we were just, it was bad. Like, looking at it now, like, yeah, we were spamming the hell out of everybody. But that's just kind of, we didn't know any better. And it just wasn't enough. I mean, this whole thing, everything that we were doing, it just was not enough. It wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't moving the needle. The deals were still small. We will wholesale a deal and it was still 5, 10 grand, maybe 15 grand every now and then. And that's what it was. And the flips that we would pick up, it was $25,000 flip, $30,000 flip. And when you're doing it that way, it's just something that you're on this treadmill that you can't stop. As soon as you stop, everything blows up. So it was something that we just had to keep going and going and going. And we would hit dry spells. A lot of people think that real estate is this beautiful thing that as soon as I hear this from a lot of students, that they're like, "John, I just know as soon as I close my first deal." I'm like, your first deal doesn't mean anything. I promise you, it just doesn't mean anything. Your first deal is just You did it, but can you replicate it? Can you do it again? Can you do it again after that? Can you do it again after that? You understand? And what happens typically, what I've seen in real estate is like people say, if I could just do a deal a month, 2 deals a month, it's like, well, some months you're not going to have any deals. And some months you're going to close 4, 5, 6 deals, right? And those months you think, I figured it out. And then you'll have another 2, 3 months of nothing. And then you're like, oh, I guess I didn't figure it out. But that's kind of how the trend goes. It's not always a month, and not every month is a banger month. You understand? Like you're gonna have some months that are dry, other months are gonna be great. But you gotta know that's the lifeline of real estate. You understand? And over an average of the year is when it all averages out. And it's like, okay, yeah, we average out 2, 3 deals a month, 4 deals a month, whatever it may be. But you're not gonna be doing that every single month. So money management becomes a big issue here. Marketing wasn't working. We were pulling every list out there, marketing to every single list out there, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't connecting. It wasn't, it was working for a period of time. Then it stopped. Then this happened. Then that stopped. And then, it was just becoming a pain. Services kept changing. It's like we were using this text service. Well, that changed. So now we got to go to this one. So now it's generating all the new scripts, formulas, automations, everything. Because 8,000 text messages a day, you need systems. So it was redoing that. And what that would do is it bumped up our overhead to a ridiculous amount. We were at that time about 45,000 a month. And most months we weren't generating even that. So there were months that we were going negative, other months that we barely broke even. It was it was a fun time. So I kind of had to redefine what is wholesaling because I hated it. So I was like, all right, wholesaling to me is a distressed situation, not a distressed house or a distressed person. It's a situation that's distressed because we bought some beautiful properties, but the situation was the problem, why they sold it at such a discount to us. You understand? So don't look necessarily at a distressed property, look at it as a distressed situation. And what this does for you is now you start questioning, what list should I really be pulling? What is the motivation that's going to create a situation that's going to make them want to sell to me at a discount, right? Who determines what a deal is? Because at that time, I was the one determining what deals were for us. I was running my numbers. I was doing all that, determining, yeah, this is a deal we can wholesale or this is not a deal we can wholesale. And I'll show you later why that was a bad move. Best marketing channels. Is direct mail really the best one? Or is cold calling the best one? Or is it pay per click? Or is it pay per leads? There's so many avenues. Which one really is the best one? And I tested every single one. We put a lot of money into a lot of marketing channels. So questioning that, how to run better numbers. Because I was like, man, I will get a deal. I will run my numbers. I'll submit my offer. And they're like, oh, we have this person that submitted higher. I'm like, how? How the heck are they doing that? We're barely making any money on this. How are they submitting? And then I go and I see them wholesale it and make more money on it. Like, what am I missing here? Where's the thing that I'm just not seeing? I used to say, and this, a lot of us, if you're doing it, I promise you it doesn't help you. I used to be like, well, it has to be that these people are just, these wholesalers are just scam artists and they're just scamming people left and right. They can't sustain a business that way. The problem with that train of thought and that mindset is you will never learn how to make that kind of money yourself because you put yourself in a victim mentality of, oh, they're just screwing people over, all this, and you're not figuring out how to get better yourself. Instead, what I started doing, I was like, all right, what am I missing? So I literally questioned everything about what I knew, what I thought I knew, what I could have known, everything. And that's pretty much where this method was born. Now, I called it the prime wholesaling method because it's essentially an acquisition machine, right? It is something, like I said, the biggest mistake I did was I stopped wholesaling because when I did, deals started drying up and all that. And this is a problem a lot of investors have right now. A lot of fix and flip investors, a lot of buy and hold investors have this issue, is that they don't have enough deal source. They don't have enough good deal source. There's a lot of flippers I speak to that they're happy making 20, 25 grand on a flip because they can't find better flips out there. They can't handle better flips out there. And this is what I realized. I was like, that's the problem, is that we need to control the flow of deals to us. You understand? But how do you do it in a way that's easier than what I was doing before? Because before I was running a whole business just on acquisition. Like, forget about flipping those. I didn't have the time to flip those. So how can you combine the two? And this is pretty much where the business came out of. And it's just implementing a structured approach to generate the high margin deals. And the high margin deal piece, that's the key. You understand? I know everybody's saying, like, of course, John, we all love high margin deals, but you got to have a system that generates those and not just generates whatever the heck it generates. You understand? Our system is very specific. It's tuned very specifically to generating high margin deals. On a low end, our wholesales are between $30,000 to $50,000, and our flips are between $70,000 and $90,000. You understand? That's the profit margin of our wholesales and our flips right now. And we used to be at 5 to 10 grand wholesales and $20,000 to $30,000 flips. Now our flips have gotten easier. Our wholesales has gotten easier. So it takes less management to run a business that's got that profit margin. Hope that's making sense, guys. And you do this consistently, right? Where you're not always worried about, man, like we used to have these conversations with my business partner. He'll come in and be like, yo, we're putting this property on the market and there's nothing left in the pipeline, and it's like, all right, well, we'll figure it out. Jesus, take the wheel. And that stress, believe it or not, it's one of those things that keeps you from sleeping, keeps you frustrated at the market, at yourself. What are you missing? What's going on? I hated real estate. It got to a period of time where I wanted to quit real estate. I was just so frustrated and pissed off with it. Now, I'm only going to cover 2 pillars. So I have the other 7 of them. I'm giving you all 9 pillars. This is free. Just scan this QR code and you'll get it completely free. Also, if you happen to not get it, just look me up anywhere online, Instagram, anywhere, and just ask me for it. I'll be glad to send it over to you. But this PDF I created, it'll break down all 9 pillars. This is the whole system I use. And everybody that I teach uses the same system. Pillar number 1, market insight mastery. So this is the science of real estate. All right. What this means is, why does this matter? Is because if you don't know what the market is doing, you don't know what you're doing. All right. The market dictates the deal. And this is something that nobody understands. Like, nobody. I've spoken to even people that have been in this for 20 years and they're still trying to manipulate the market, or like, oh, I can, do this thing. I was like, no, dude, what does your market demand? Every market is different. I've seen the market in St. Louis, San Antonio, New Orleans, Orlando, Chicago, right? And every market is different. There's a different demand in every single market. What is that demand? Instead, I have people that are brand new to real estate and they're like, hey, John, I want to do mobile homes. I'm like, cool. Can you? Does your market make sense for you to do mobile home? I don't know. Well, there you go. Because if your market doesn't make sense to do mobile homes, guess what? You're going to have a very tough time making money. You understand? I want to do vacant land. Great. Does your market support that? You understand? This is why this pillar is so important. Now, the framework is simple. What is the median? All right. Now, for those of you that are real estate agents, median might be, something that you're like, no, we look at averages. Averages don't mean anything. Averages can be skewed by a very high selling property, a very low selling property. It throws your averages off. The median shows where the demand really is. So with the median, and I teach in forms of framework so you can have something that you can grab onto. It's just kind of how I learn. All the books I read, they're always framework based. So I teach in form of framework. So this is the framework that we follow. Months of inventory, the hottest price points, and the hottest zip codes. All right. And we combine these 3 to figure out exactly where we're going to be marketing. And I'll break each one of these down further. So months of inventory. 6 months is considered supposedly a balanced market, but it depends how you get there. When the market shifted in the middle of 2022 in San Antonio, that's where I built my business. We went from less than 2 months of inventory to like 7, 8 months of inventory in a year. That rise that fast was terrible, right? It was really, really bad. But that's not normal, right? We stabled off since. It took a little, it was a lot of whiplash in the meantime, but it's not normal. So, what is a 6 months balance? It just means that, houses are probably taking about 6 months to sell. So, the sellers don't have the power and the buyers don't have the power. 3 months or less is considered a hot seller's market. Anything 3 months or less, sellers they can be picky because that means there's a lot of demand for the housing. There's a lot of buyers going after the amount of inventory that's there. 4 to 6 months, it's all right. And 6+ months is a buyer's market. That means that there's just so much supply and the demand gets to choose. You understand? The buyers get to pick. Now, here's what's important with this. A lot of people look at this and they say, oh man, my market is at like 4, 5 months of inventory, 6 months of inventory. My God, we're in a bad market. There's no such thing. I made a lot of money when San Antonio was under 2 months, and we're making even more money now that it's about 5 months of inventory. It doesn't matter because, again, we go where the market is. I'm not trying to force the market to cater to me. Now, when the market is under 3 months of inventory, everybody looks like a genius, which was the problem during the pandemic. Everybody felt like they were geniuses in real estate because the market kept pulling them out. Because every month the prices kept going up. So even if you got in a bad deal, waited 2 months and now you're making 20 grand, right? And that's what happened with a lot of people. And when they got caught, when the market shifted, all of a sudden they got caught with a lot of projects that just weren't making the money anymore, and they didn't know what to do. So I don't want this to happen to you guys. I want you to pay attention to what is your market doing, and you're going to understand even who to supply to. Who are your buyers going to be? So you got months of inventory, you got the hottest price points. This, you find the median first. What is the median price point in your area? What I like to look at, if I'm looking at a market, like I told you, I moved from New York to Texas. When I looked at Texas, the median price in San Antonio was below the national average, the median of the United States. What that shows is affordability. When you have affordability, you can essentially predict a flood of people coming to it because that's what we're seeing. These little towns that all of a sudden nobody heard about and they're starting to flourish is because of affordability. The zip codes that nobody wanted before and now they're starting to flourish is because of affordability. So you understanding these numbers are tremendous. So hot means speed. What areas are selling the fastest, right? What price point is selling the fastest? So we do this by brackets. Depending on your area, if in San Antonio, the median right now is like, I want to say it's around 280, 290, depending on who you pull your source from, but it's around there. It's been dropping. So you look at a 280, 290 median price point. I'm going to start between 50 and 100. Look at the speed of that price point, 100 and 150, 150 and 200. And I'm going to go by 50s. Once I get above 500, I'm just kind of going to ignore it because I'm way above the median of that market. All right. So when you're targeting the median or below, that's where you want to do your marketing. And the last one is the hottest zip codes. Now we want to find the hottest areas. Speed equals demand. So the areas with the lowest months of inventory, the zip codes with the lowest months of inventory, combine that with the hottest price points, you got yourself a killer area to be in. All right. Instead of marketing to the whole city, pick the spots and be more of a sniper with your marketing. It's gonna make your marketing budget go a lot further versus you just shooting for the whole city and hoping for the best. And it's gonna make your strategy a lot straighter because now you know exactly what you're going after. You become a pro in the area. So speed equals demand. Neighboring zip codes are also very valuable. So when you have a very, very hot zip code, look at the zip codes right around there that are 15, 20 minutes away. Because a lot of times people in a really hot zip code, prices are going up. It's competitive. It's hard. But people want to be there. So they will settle for the closest to that area because it's more affordable and it's easier to get. That's what we've always done. We don't necessarily go to the hottest spot. We go right next to it and we get to capitalize on so much opportunities in those areas that other people just don't see. Now, like I said, you got to know your market. We just sold a flip in New Braunfels. We got it from an investor that had it on the market full retail 475, and he sold it to us for, I want to say it was 330 because he just wanted out. We took that house down. We put probably about 12 grand, maybe around there, 12, 15 grand, touched up a few things, staged it because we knew our market is why we took the deal down, and we put it back on the market for 475. We put it on the market for 475 in November, got a full price offer at the end of November, and we just closed it about a week or two ago for 475. This was a deal that was already on the market. But why did we take it on? He had it on the market for months. It wasn't selling, and it was in great condition. But why wasn't it selling? Because he wasn't paying attention to his market. He didn't know why that was. When we looked at it, we knew exactly what we needed to do with that property. And yes, it's the winter months where a lot of people are like, 475 is way above the median for where we mess around with. But because we know our market, we went at it and we made a lot of money on it. You understand? It was a quick in and out deal. Now, I'm not saying I'm a genius. What I'm saying is I use the data. I don't use my feelings. I don't use emotions. You understand? It's not about what I feel or what I think. It's about what do the numbers tell me. That's why whenever anybody comes to me and they say, John, should I flip this? Should I keep this as a rental? I'm like, what does Pillar 1 say? Like, don't ask me. I'm not going to give you an opinion. Nobody's opinion matters. What matters is the numbers. What does the numbers say? Is there demand? Is there potential for demand? Does it make sense? If you can't answer those questions, you probably shouldn't be buying these deals. And pillar number 2 is your strategic buyer arsenal. Now, this is how we cheat. This is the art of real estate. Your strategic buyer arsenal is how I was able to get started with no money and build my business. All right. And no knowledge and build my business. I use my buyers. So this is how, there's a little story I wanted to share with you between Rob and Kyle. These are 2 students of mine. And Rob had the deal first. And he brought me the deal. He told me what he had. And he's like, well, I have a buyer for about 10 grand. Now, all my students, I tell them, don't chase anything under 20 grand. It's just not worth the chase. Let somebody else do it. And he didn't take it on because his buyer, the best buyer he had, was going to make him 10 grand. Kyle comes to me with the same deal. And, I thought it was kind of funny. And he tells me, I was like, well, it depends on you. I was like, who do you have a buyer for it? He's like, yeah, I have a buyer. He's like, I'll probably walk away with around 60 grand. I was like, then go for it. So Kyle makes $62,000 when Rob walked away because he was only going to make 10. The only difference in this deal was that Kyle had a better buyer than Rob. The deal didn't change at all. Nothing changed. The house didn't get better conditions. The Kyle didn't lock it up cheaper than what Rob had it. Actually, Kyle paid like 7 grand more than what Rob had offered. Yet Kyle walked away with 62 grand. Why? Because of the power of his buyers. You got to understand this, guys. I'm not putting this out here just as a filler. Like, it is that powerful. I teach everybody the same strategy. So what is the deal? The strength of your buyers list determines how much you will make on a deal. When there is no demand, it's not a deal. A lot of people, they tell me, but John, I did 70% minus repairs, but nobody wants it. Then obviously 70% minus repairs isn't the deal for that. You understand? Like those formulas are nonsense. You got to go based on where your buyers want. And this is why we don't start with marketing. We start with this. Our buyers tell us what they want, where they want it. This saves you time and money. So your buyers list is your profit lever. You want to make more money? Get better buyers. You get better buyers, you're going to make more money. When I would see these deals and I'll push it to my buyers and I wasn't getting anything worth chasing, and then all of a sudden I saw somebody wholesale it for a lot more than I was, it's like obviously there was a demand for it. It's just I didn't have access to those people. So I started getting better on how do I find these better buyers. All right. The strategies that are working: no ARV, no repairs. Everybody, even people that work on my team, my acquisition guy, I tell them, I don't care what the numbers look like. Don't run ARV, don't run repairs, especially if you're going to wholesale the deal. Why is this? First of all, ARV is an opinion, not a fact. Repairs is an opinion, not a fact. Every time I see somebody post out there, oh, this is a 70% deal. Okay, based on whose numbers? My numbers are very conservative. I run my numbers very conservative. If I see an ARV of like 270, 280, I'm going to go with 270. My repairs are conservative. If I think the repairs are between $40,000 and $45,000, I'm probably going to shoot more for 45,000 budget. You understand? Like, I'm conservative as an investor. Now, we also have investors that are a lot more aggressive. They see the ARV 270, 280. They're like, maybe we could do 285. The truth is, nobody knows until somebody takes down the project, renovates the project, puts it on the market, and it sells. That is the only hard truth. Everything else leading up to that is a complete opinion. So why are you using your opinion? You leave money on the table every single time. You understand? Like, this is not what we do. I don't use my opinions. My opinions do not matter. I tell Rob, he's my acquisition guy, I tell my students, I'm like, I don't care what you think. Nobody does. Let your buyers tell you what makes sense. Let your buyers tell you what to think. What deal makes more sense? What's going to actually make you more money? You understand? And what's funny with this, ever since we started doing this, that's how our wholesale fees started going up drastically. Because all of a sudden, like, we started looking at so very simply, I'll do it very quickly. I've done trainings on this. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have a bunch of training on this, or just reach out and ask me. But pretty much what we look at is the as is value of a property. So right now, I went to walk the property. I saw what it was. What is the as is? It's if I was to take this property, put it on the market, and I want it gone in a week or two, what price would I put it at? And that's the price I push it at to my buyers. Because the buyers I have, they're not generating their own deals. They're either buying from wholesalers or from agents. And if they are, they're pretty much paying around this price. So I don't have to, my wholesales, it's not like, oh, I want 20 grand on this wholesale. No, if it's worth this much, I want whatever the spread is. Right? And the spreads usually tend to be a lot higher. That's the only numbers I run. They're not even my opinion. What does this house sell for as is condition? That's it. Now you can contract it 30, 40 grand less than that, whatever you feel like making on the wholesale fee, right? You try to contract it lower. And I'll do another training in February where we talk about how to increase the margin with the seller side, but this is how you increase it with the buyer side. So hope this is making sense, guys. All right, so no repairs, and then reverse wholesaling. So when you have a good buyers list, there's going to be a lot of times you come across a property where the seller just wants this price and you're like, man, I don't know if I can even make that work. But because you have a good buyers list, you can reach out to a buyer that told you they want property in the area, send them a link of the picture, send them the address, be like, hey, let's say the buyer wants 70 grand for it. Be like, hey, man, any chance you can do anywhere near 100 grand on this? The seller's wanting too much. I'm not sure if it even makes sense. I always shoot a higher number just to get their real number, see where they're coming in at with me. And if my buyer, the only person I can think of that can make the deal work, comes back to me and says to me, yeah, man, I could probably take it for like 65, then it's not a deal. But if my buyer, which this has happened a lot of times, comes back, it's like, I can't do 100, but I can do 95. Done. I'll go contract it for 70, wholesale it for 95. So that's reverse wholesaling. All right. I'm seeing your guys' questions and I'll get to all of them as soon as I'm done. I promise. So how do you build your buyer's arsenal? Locate the potential buyers. Networking events is the number one place I do. So for those of you here, I know you may not like my opinion, and it's fine. These are all opinions. Everything I'm teaching you here is just the stuff that works for me and my students. I'm not saying this is the hard truth of, of real estate. Okay. It's pretty close to it, but I don't do virtual wholesaling. Virtual wholesaling is a strategy that is, um, it takes way too much time, too much effort, and it doesn't make anywhere near the amount of money I'm making now. It's just, it doesn't make sense in my mind. Okay. I'm not saying don't do it, whatever. I'm just saying I don't like it personally. I've tried it. I've seen other people do it. It's marginal at best, right? Um, so I like being local because then I can go to networking events. I can meet the buyers. I can get to know them. They can get to know me. We can meet for coffee. Never meet for lunch because you can regret a 2-hour lunch with a bad person. But networking events, you go to networking events and you talk to as many people as you can. I have a whole training on networking events. I don't want you eating at networking events. I know a lot of us go for the food, but have a power bar beforehand and pay attention to the damn networking. Facebook groups. I join every single real estate Facebook group in the city, and I start friending everybody that's buying real estate. And then I start DMing them personally and getting their whole criteria and all that. And then other wholesalers, partner with them at first. If you don't have a buyer, but another wholesaler does, partner with them. Split it. At least you get the deal done and you start learning who the buyers are. Next, qualify the buyers. We qualify all of our buyers. We're always vetting them. I want to make sure they're serious buyers. One of the biggest questions I ask that I look for is that they do 7+ deals a year. Why 7+? Because if they do anything under 7, that means they can't handle more than one deal at a time. So if they're already in the middle of a project, they're not going to take yours on. You got to catch them in that little sweet spot. So those go to my second tier buyers. My VIP buyers is anywhere between 7 and 12 deals a year. Those are my buyers that are always looking for deals and they're always willing to pay premium. I store them in a CRM and I follow up with them bi-weekly, weekly. Even if I don't have deals, I'm staying in touch. You understand? I want to be top of mind for them. And then number 3, we leverage them. How do you leverage your buyers? They can walk deals with you. You don't know how to analyze a deal. Go with one of your buyers. Any buyer, I promise you this, will gladly walk a deal with you. Gladly. I will walk a deal with any wholesaler that brings me a deal. You understand? Because I want the deal. So if I get to walk and tell you where I need to be and you can contract it and get it to me at that price, we're in business. You understand? So you get them to walk. You get them to pay for marketing. I've had buyers pay for my marketing for the first 3 years of my business. They paid for the marketing. I did have all the legwork. You understand? You got to be creative and resourceful. Not all the money needs to come from you. Every time people say, John, I just don't have enough money. I have a student that his buyer is paying for his coaching. Genius. Because every deal this guy generates goes to that buyer. And they're both splitting the deals. There's no reason why you don't get started other than you are just not resourceful enough. And analyze deals. Man, I don't know if this is a good deal. Send it to your buyers. Reverse wholesale. Easiest strategy all day long. So have your buyer lined up first. Get your buyers first. Guys, even if you don't agree with me, you got to just analyze it if you've done this before. How many times you got a deal and you're like, shoot, nobody wants it. So you don't have a deal. You wasted all this time. Now you're going to piss off a seller. Why do that to yourself? It makes no sense, right? Putting it together. What market are you in? Understand your market first. There's no such thing as a bad market. I've made money in quote unquote high months of inventory, bad markets, and low months of inventory, great markets. And I've seen people lose money in both those markets. So the market doesn't matter, but you do need to understand it so you know what to cater to. What's working? What strategies? Is it buy and hold, fix and flips? When the market shifted in Texas, I stopped wholesaling to buy and hold investors. I was getting more money from my fix and flip investors. It made no sense for me to send it to a buy and hold investor because they weren't willing to leave 40, 50 grand in the deal for it to cash flow. So who are your solid buyers? Solid buyers. These people are doing 7 to 12 deals a year. Who are they? Do you know how they're funding the deals, what they're looking for as far as rehab? As far as all these things go, do you know their criteria? Have you sat down with them? Are you in constant communication with them? This is how hard it is for me to dispo a deal. I get a property on the contract, which I already know who the buyer is going to be for it because I'm marketing in those areas specifically. I text my buyer, and this is the process, guys. I text my buyer. I'm like, hey, you buying right now? Yes, sir. Cool. I got a property in this area. Interested? Yeah. Great. When can you review it? I'm going to send you some details. I got time right now. That question is important because if they're not available to review it right now and you send them the info, you're over here like this in your office, like, damn it, when are they going to let me know? Hey, have you checked it out? They're probably out at Home Depot or doing something else. I want to know when they're going to be in their office because if they're not available right now, and let's say it's 11 o'clock and they're not going to be available to 7 p.m., I might reach out to another buyer in the meantime, right? Because I want an answer now. So I want to know when are they going to be able to view it? Oh, right now. Great. I'm going to send you the information, review it, and just please let me know within the next hour, like if that's something that works for you. Great. I send them the address, a link of the pictures that I took of the house, and I always take 75 plus pictures, and the price that I'm asking. Those three things. That's it. It's all I send them. I don't send comps. They're my opinion. I don't send repairs. They're my opinion. I don't send anything else. Those three things. If my buyer can't run his own comps and repairs, he's not a solid buyer. All right. If he's like, well, what do you think the comps are? Bro, ask your realtor. You understand? Like, do your homework. I'm not doing it for you because now you're going to buy it based on my word. I don't want that responsibility. If you don't renovate the way I renovate, if you don't do the things I do and you don't put it at the market the way I would, you may not get the same price. So I'm not willing to put my reputation on the line when you're the one that's going to handle it. You understand? No offense to them. It's just I got to protect my reputation because it's all I have. Those are the three things I give them. Now they tell me, yes, I'm good to move forward. Great. You like the price? Yeah, I like the price. All right, awesome. Now I set up an appointment. Why? Because I send them enough pictures that I know there's not going to be anything he's going to see in the house that he didn't see in the pictures. I don't hide anything. I show everything. There's nothing that they could possibly think that they're not sure what it is. You understand? I've showed them everything. So they go to the property, they look that, yep, everything looks exactly like you said it was. Awesome. Let's move forward. That transaction of communication took me less than 20 minutes. And sometimes I meet them at the property, sometimes I don't, depending on the property. But then whatever the trip is. But I've had people waste hours and days trying to wholesale property. That's unacceptable. Or even worse, hire a dispo person. Get out of here. That's just such a waste of money. There's no need to hire a dispo person. Your acquisition person should know who the buyers are because that's who they're negotiating with. You understand? Like if your acquisition person's over here and your dispo is over here and they don't talk, you understand? Because like this person's like blasting deals out in Investor Lift or whatever, right? Like this person's just contracting random things and hoping this one can sell. I'm telling you, it just makes no sense. But give it a shot. And supply the demand. That's all it is, guys. Find out where the demand is in your market. Provide the supply. Get your emotions and your feelings out of it. If you have to do condos, you do condos. If you have to do single family homes, you do single family homes. If it's mobile homes, it's mobile homes. I don't care. It's not about my feelings. It's about what's going to get me paid. You understand? I tell my students this all the time. Do you want to be right or do you want to make money? And here's the trick with that question. If you choose that you want to make money, guess what happens? You're right anyway. Nobody that makes money is an idiot or ever wrong. I mean, you could steal it, but not condoning that. So you want to be right or you want to make money. I would suggest you guys choose, I want to make money. Now, I know I covered a lot. You are free to book a free strategy call with me. I'll sit down with you for about 30 minutes or so, and we'll go over your business, your strategy, what's working, what's not, what's a good pivot that you can make. My rule of thumb for you guys is if you're under $500,000 a year right now in real estate, you should be a team of one, maybe with a VA. That's it. If you're under $500,000 a year, you should not have a team because you have not figured out how to make money. And I promise you, I'm not trying to offend you. This was the advice that was given to me years ago that opened up my whole business. We're doing over $1 million a year right now with just 3 people in my team. You understand? Like, it is a very profitable business. And I promise you, it's a lot less headaches. You understand? So if you're under $500,000, then you should be just by yourself. You should not have anybody else in your business. Your business is too complex for you to make money. So we got to simplify it. Simplicity scales, complexity fails. I heard that from Dan Martell. It's a great quote. I live by it. I love this one by James Clear. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. This is what I do. I build systems and processes. So when something breaks, I can look at my system. Where was the fail? Whenever I correct any of my students on something that they're doing, I'm telling them, go back and update your process. Go back and update your process. Because when you're ready to scale, that's the process that you use to hire the next team and the next member. And it makes it so you can hire and fire people quickly without worrying about, like, man, if I fire them, there goes 4 months of training. No, that's insane. That's just beyond insane. For those of you that downloaded the PDF, you're going to see hiring is pillar number 9. You're not ready to hire until you've figured out how to make money. All right. And for those of you that want to reach out and get contact with me, this is the best place to contact me. Any of these, you can reach me damn near anywhere. That's my email, Instagram, my YouTube, and then my Facebook. Just reach out, ask. Any of you that know me, I'm always answering your questions. And I'm the one that does it. I don't have anybody answering my questions. I'm there. I'm answering your questions. I'll send you voice notes if it's easier. That's just kind of how I do. So that's it. That's the presentation. So let's get into some Q&A, guys. All right.
Hey, John. Hey, this is Steve.
What's up, brother?
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
I'm your question asker. So welcome.
Awesome.
And really, really enjoy your talk.
Appreciate it, brother.
We can leave up the your contact information up there too while we're doing the Q&A. I think that's
Oh, okay.
So everybody has a chance to reach you.
Sounds good.
I got a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
What are some red flags you should watch out for in a buyer, John?
Red flags are overgeneralizations of things. Like if I ask them, like, what's the level of rehab you want? As long as the numbers make sense. All right. So you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because like any buyer I've dealt with, they won't, like, there are buyers that just won't do a full gut job, addition, things like that. And other buyers just want like light cosmetics, right? Even that, light cosmetics. What does that mean? I've done $180,000 renovations. To me, a light cosmetic is a new kitchen, new bathrooms, interior, nothing structural. That's light for me. For somebody else, might be carpet and paint. We need to know these things. How do you fund your deals? Don't worry about it. Just send me a deal. Okay. I'm not doing business with you. You understand? Like, because if I don't know how you're using these things, I don't know when I can use you. Because let's say for me, I do a lot of foreclosure marketing. If I don't know that you're using cash or private funds that you have a quick access to, and you need to get appraisal, you need to get inspections, I can't send you a deal that I need to close in 3 days. So I need to know these things. So anything that's like overgeneralized, or what do you like buying? Oh, anywhere it makes sense. Okay, genius. I hope you want to buy things that make sense, but like, how does that help me? Right? These are not serious buyers. A serious buyer, they like, when you ask me in San Antonio, what's your criteria? I'll show you exactly on the map what I want. 1978 or newer, under 2,000 square feet, under around 300,000 tax value. Like, those are the things I'm looking at. You understand? Like, I know my criteria very well. Like, even when you plug those into any marketing software, it's going to put you in spots where I'm pretty much going to want a house. So, it makes it much more specific.
And here's another kind of follow-up question, and maybe you answer that too, is what if a buyer wants to literally cut you out and deal with the seller directly?
So when you look, and it's a great question. This is why I look for buyers that do 10 to 12 deals a year and that don't source their own deals. That means that they don't do their own marketing. because buyers that don't do their own marketing will never do that because they're risking all future deals. You understand? Like, can it happen? Yeah, it can. It's happened to me. I honestly don't care all that much because that's the last time I'll do business with them. And those guys, those people that will cut you out that are kind of grimy like that, they're not they're not the rule, right? Like those are not the guys that are all over the business. They're not. You have some slime bags that are out there, but it's not the majority of people are very they're just trying to do business because any buyer that cuts you out, they understand like this is the last time you're bringing me anything,
Yeah, and
right?
they're probably not gonna be doing 10 to 12 deals a year because they just
Yeah,
keep killing relationships.
exactly. So they're penny pinching. They're trying to cut people out. They're not people you want to even be in business with. So, it's one of those. That's why, like, and this is why I don't blast my deals either, because blasting a deal opens up for that. When you
Mm.
blast a deal, I've had it where I've had properties under contract and I blasted it, and I had other wholesalers go behind me, lie to the seller, contract at a higher price, and then file a memorandum to block my sell. And then they just ghost the seller and they don't care because now if I try to close, there's a memorandum blocking me. Right. So now, and then they try to, luckily, I mean, they don't know that I have attorneys. So they're not going to get a penny, but it's still a nuisance for anybody else. So don't blast your deals. I go directly to buyers I vetted.
Very good. Very good. That's a great answer. What's your number one marketing strategy, John?
So it depends on the market. So in San Antonio, we do pre-foreclosure marketing. We pull directly from the county every single day. We market to properties that have a deed of trust date of 12 years or older. So we make sure they have equity. We make sure that the lender is a institution and not a personal, like, an LLC or somebody like that. And then we make sure that the deed of the price that they borrowed is not above the median, right? Like we don't want anybody that bought a house that was a $700,000 house 10 years ago because it's probably worth $1 million now in San Antonio, right? And it's like nobody's going to want that. So we do those and we skip trace the person and we cold call, and that's all we do.
And you say you want to market the folks that are not an institution. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, because anybody that's like an LLC and stuff like that, like they've done like maybe an owner finance or a situation, what we've seen is we end up having to get our attorneys involved very early on, sending demand letters and stuff because they won't send a payoff. They won't send us anything. They won't participate. They won't cooperate with us. So they just tend to, and usually, and this is unfortunately not everything in the business is nice. Some people that do owner finance, they take advantage of people and they do some very slimy transactions. Like we had a lady that she reached out to us. She was in foreclosure. She's like, I got the loan in 2003 for 60 grand. She's been paying, she's been behind a year, but she owes 72. I was like, wait, 2003, but you owe more than what you borrowed? I was like, oh my God, like this is beyond predatory, right? But it's just kind of, you can get away with anything.
What do you recommend for someone starting in wholesaling? Would you focus on residential or commercial? What kind of deal would you recommend to get started?
It depends on you as far as to me, they're two opposite monsters, right? Like you can make millions of dollars in residential and you can make millions of dollars in commercial. If you are not, residential is a little bit easier to get into just because commercial tends to require more money for deposits, for earnest money, for like the option periods and stuff like that. Like on a commercial property, an option period could cost you $20,000-$30,000 non-refundable. So you got to know what you're doing. What I recommend is what I say, why I build my buyers list first is because you can go work for your buyers. You can partner with them. You can be their boots on the ground. So they take all the financial risk and the knowledge, and you just do the legwork that they can't do. So if they want to chase commercial properties and you want to do commercial, that's fine. Like tell them like, hey, I'm willing to do all the legwork. That's what I did. I was like, I'll work for free. I don't care. I just want to learn. Right. And they gave me 20% of whatever they generated, which I would get cut out of a lot of those profits too. But I learned a ton, which was my goal. right? So by building your buyers list on either side, you can go both make money. I have friends that are in commercial and they make a ton of money, and we're in residential, we make a ton of money. So they're both good. It's just which one do you want?
So it looks like Abel has some questions here. That's probably best for booking a strategy call. She asks, I door knock and cold call for NOD lists and NTS. I'm not that familiar. Generate $100,000. How do I expand? It's kind of general, so perhaps a little bit more specificity would help.
Generate 100,000 a year or a month? I mean, I'd be curious. How do you expand something like that? I mean, yeah, there Abel, this would definitely be something that we need to discuss further, because I need to know, like, expand to what area. If you're making 100 a year, chances are you're not maximizing the profit per deal, because just on foreclosure in San Antonio, we're not the only ones doing it. We do 6 figures a month, so and sometimes we're doing multiple 6 figures a month. And that's just off one list, one strategy. That's all we do. Foreclosures, cold call. That's it. Right. So you got to get either better at sales, which is the next training I'm going to do with you guys, and structure better, deeper deals, or get better buyers, or do both. Or maybe if you're ready to expand, then I will bring in a new person and train them on a new strategy. Right? Maybe tax delinquents, probates. I don't know what market you're in. Markets depend, because like let's say New York, New Jersey, Florida, we won't do foreclosures there, because they're judicial states. Foreclosure process takes forever. It's just not worth the chase. So yeah. If you're a year, then you're not ready to expand. You're doing great. Don't get me wrong, but you're definitely not ready to expand. You got to maximize what you're doing. 100 grand a year is not it's not very, you haven't maximized the list.
We got probably time for one or two more questions, guys. Here, Jamie asks, how do you find your buyers, Jon, aside from what you shared earlier?
I mean, aside from what I share, it's just that those are literally how I find them. Most of them, like, I teach my students that I want you to find 5 buyers a day using Facebook groups, because I can do 15 plus buyers a day using Facebook groups. So like, that's a great strategy. Another one, when you actually have a deal, and this is like, you have a deal and you're like, shoot, I need a buyer. I've gone to hard money lenders, because hard money lenders have a pool of buyers, right? And the hard money lender will pretty much vet the deal and connect you to the buyer and not charge you anything, because they're looking to get the loan. So hard money lender, that's a good little trick for when you have a deal. But yeah, I mean, honestly, before the pandemic, before everything shut down, I was going to at least one networking event a year. I'm sorry, one networking event a week, since I started in real estate. So I would go to literally 50 some odd networking events in a year, every single year. Because that's where everything gets done. That's where you meet all the best buyers, all the people, all the players. And then don't be ashamed to partner with a wholesaler that might have buyers until you build your list.
Thank you. Cool. Our time's up. Thank you so much, Jon, for your tips, and we look forward to having you back for our next class. I want to ask you one last thing, Jon. If there's one takeaway, I know that you were very structured. You got the takeaway slide as well. If there's one takeaway that you shouldn't ever forget from this class, everybody, what should it be, Jon?
Get rid of your ego. Too many of us try to do this by ourselves. Like, we take pride in, like, I built this. Right. And it's so silly. I've had the privilege of being in groups with very wealthy people, and they're always collaborating with everybody else. Like, nobody's trying to go at this by themselves. You understand? This is why I tell you, build your buyers list, because you can leverage it. You can leverage your buyers. A lot of my buyers became my private money lenders. A lot of my buyers have become really good friends. They're my source of when I need a plumber because mine is sick. I call one of my buyers and they tell me, well, use this guy. This is who I'm using. Like, you don't have this. This is not I don't look at this as a competitive sport. To me, it's not me against you. There's so much. I have students in San Antonio and I teach them the same foreclosure strategy I do. Everything exactly the same. Why? Because there's so much out there. There's so much abundance. You understand? So
I was gonna say the big players always play together.
yeah, it's exactly it. I do business with all the big guys, and that's why we make so much money. Like, I'm not looking to compete with people. Like, it makes no sense. There's so much money out there. Plus, you end up tripping over dollars to pick up pennies. And it's like, just let the ego go. I promise you, you will not get a gold star for doing this by yourself, but you will make a ton of money by partnering and working with other people.
Yeah, I think it's more fun, and you get
Yes.
it's a people. It's a good people that you collect along the way too.
100%, brother. Yep. Completely.
Thank you, John. Really appreciate your time.
Of course.
And thank you for sharing. We look forward to having you on our platform more, and also doing more deals with you too. So
I love it.
We'll stay in touch.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.